Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Family Love Letter series. I'm Debbie Faulkner, a managing partner of Burke Faulkner Law. And this is part 3 of a series of seminars we call the Family Love Letter. So for those of you who are just joining us, the Family Love Letter is this physical book that we have mailed out. Typically, when we do seminars live and in person, there's a small cost associated with having one of the books. But for everybody who has signed up and has told us that you want a book, we have mailed them out. So this week, you should have your book in front of you, as we paid for that or underwrote this seminar at Burke Faulkner Law. If you do not already have one of these books that we have mailed to you, please email at info@gulfcoastepc.org. We'll put this on the screen so you can see it. It is info@gulfcoastepc.org. So myself and a couple of other professionals in various industries volunteer through the Gulf Coast Council to help people through the estate planning process and answering questions, free of charge, so that this process is a little bit demystified. So the process of doing the Family Love Letter is really, just as a recap, is a process of going through and giving a voice to yourself as a way of leaving your family behind. So not only an inventory of your assets and the professionals that you work with that will have information about your assets, but it also gives you the opportunity to say things in here like, when I am gone, I hope my family will learn from my experiences. I believe the most important things in life are blank. There's more to the Family Love Letter than just writing down a list of your financial assets and who you want to be your pallbearer at your funeral. But these are important questions that the Family Love Letter goes over with you. Last week, we went over, inventory, like gathering your documents. So we sent out this form last week to everybody who requested one. And your homework was to gather documents together so that we could go to the next phase of Family Love Letter. And that, like I said, the gathering of these documents is really organizing your own personal paper trail, and helping to gather together and create through the Family Love Letter your non-financial inheritance. What I mean by that is, like, what do you want to pass on with life stories and value systems, in addition to also with the data gathering sheet that we provided and the book itself. You also go through your financial inventory and your creditors and maybe your VA benefits and things like that. So it really augments your estate planning process and allows you to leave behind, your financial legacy and sort of a roadmap of where everything is. But it also gives you the opportunity to leave behind some of the more non-financial advice and words of wisdom that you want to leave behind your family. So this week, Glenn Fasani, he is a colleague of mine in the Gulf Coast Council. The Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council, I invite you all to visit our website, which is www.gulfcoastepc, like estateplanningcouncil.org. We volunteer to try to help people, demystify the whole process of estate planning, financial planning, and things like that. And so Glenn has been working with the Family Love Letter concept since 2006. So he has a lot more knowledge about how everything goes with the Family Love Letter and really helping people prepare for the most important decisions that you'll make in your life, really, is how you're going to leave your legacy to your family. So this is the third part of our series, like I mentioned earlier. So without further ado, I'm going to have Glenn Fasani come up and take us through phase 3 of the Family Love Letter. Glenn?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good morning. And I don't know if you can see, let me get my shirt close here. I can't go to church on Sunday for Easter, but I have my Easter shirt on today. So didn't want to waste it. So I'm showing you my Easter shirt. Can't really tell, but it's a beautiful pink and all little Easter colors. So anyway, that's how we get started with the Easter shirt. But I also have one other question. What do you do when you need a haircut in this situation? Because my hair is way out of control and I'm not really sure how to get that fixed in this situation. So if anybody has an idea how I get a haircut, people have offered to cut it. I'm a real trusting person, but I think you leave that to professionals, just like estate planning and what I do for a living. So if I can get a haircut, that'd be awesome. Don't really know how that works. But if you do have any questions, please email us the questions. And I'm going to ask you again to register for this site and for what we're doing. So subscribe to the channel. If you can do that for us, it really helps us. Because as we get deeper into this, there's going to be, like we did, and I think we have to thank Debbie for providing the book. She was nice to say it was inexpensive. It really isn't. We normally charge, if we look at our printing cost alone, and again, I've been doing this since 2006 with the Family Love Letter, it's about $15 by the time we get it printed, we have it customized, and get it to you guys. So she has underwritten this. We really love the booklet for many, many reasons. And let me tell you my history with the Family Love Letter, going back to 2006. And actually, I know there's a lot in here, and I think that's what's happened. Over the years, we've given a lot of these books out, and my frustration's been that they have not been used. Okay, so you give out the book, it gets put in a stack of stuff to do, kind of like cleaning the garage, and that never happens. And then it's something that really you have to spend some time. So good news, bad news. I think when we're stuck at home and we have everything there, it's probably a good time to do this. So I want to take you through why we need this document and where it comes into play. If you read the opening cover, whenever you get a chance, read the opening cover. It is from the two people who started it, Donna Pagano and Jeff Scroggins. Jeff Scroggins I've met many times. He's an estate planning attorney. And there's the story under Jeff's name. By the way, his real name is John, but everybody calls him Jeff. Don't ask me why. But it's a really compelling story, and it talks about a situation with a family and a life insurance policy. Kids came in because the dad was having trouble with memory, onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. So the kids come in doing the right thing, right? Oh, I'm going to help you out, Mom. Don't worry about it. We'll get everything organized. And they did that. And so they did what they thought was the right thing to do. And, well, he passes away. And, of course, the family goes to Jeff and says, hey, here's all my dad's stuff, and here's the insurance policy. And unfortunately, a quick phone call to the insurance company found out that the policy had lapsed a while ago. And it had lapsed because the family, the kids who came in to do the right thing and clean up, closed the bank account where the premiums were being taken from. So unfortunately, the policy lapsed. Any of the notices that the insurance company sent were sent to the parents' house, and God knows what happened to him. But he had the really difficult job of saying, hey, I got some really bad news for you. That life insurance policy, by the way, I think the death benefit, don't quote me, I think it was $750,000, was basically non-existent, and that the mom was not going to get any money for her and for her care and moving forward in her life, because the kids did the right thing and helped clean up. So pretty ugly story, pretty emotional story. And so that's when the love letter came together. The love letter said, listen, you have a paper trail. And unfortunately, the older you get, the wider and deeper that paper trail comes. Now, the frustrating part, and I'm bouncing around because this first section, I think this first conversation needs to be one where you get your head around what we're looking to do here. So one of the areas that we customize in here, and the reason I say that is getting all your documents together. It could be that we have a situation where they're digital, right? So now, years ago, everybody got a statement once a month or once a quarter, and it was mailed to the house. And so if you look in here, we've added a section of digital assets. Let me see, it's in section, digital assets are in section 4. And so one of the things that we want to do with digital assets is we want to understand that it's on page 28, by the way. So digital assets are a way of us documenting where things are in this world of not having paper. So understand and that this page is extremely important these days. Maybe our parents might not be utilizing as much as we do, but my saying in doing financial planning, fee-based planning for almost 24 years is that you're sandwiched. Our generation, I'm a baby boomer, just turned 58. We're sandwiched between our kids and our parents, right? So we got our parents over here that kind of lived in a paper world, and they probably got a lot more paper. But what about doing one of these for you, for your kids? And so the page 28, you need to, what's the password to my computer? Here's the problem. The password changes, right? Because we know that the cybersecurity situation, if you're with a bank, they're going to ask you to change it every so often. So, but you need to start putting together the websites, what accounts. So digital assets are an amazingly frustrating area that Debbie and I see all the time. And in your estate planning documents, if you have not done them or you need to have them updated, needs to have language in there for releasing this digital information, because there are certain rules. And we always try to say, take note. Take note is a really important area. And it's trying to explain to you the logic behind why you're doing this. So again, if you have any questions, please bring them into me and we'll answer them. But the question that comes up to this point is, how do I get this done? So the reason we sent you this first, this was just gather your stuff. So the way that I find, that works best is get the documentation together. So now if it's life insurance, for instance, how many life insurance policies? Where is it? What account is it being paid out of? All the details about that life insurance policy, multiple policies. I have these, what I call tips and shortcuts. One area that is 1000% missed all the time is people who work sometimes get a group benefit through work, okay? And that is missed. Why? Because it's really not a policy, right? You name a beneficiary, you work for XYZ company, and it's usually a multiple of your pay. And so let's say it's 1 time or 2 times your pay. And the only way we even find it usually on the back end is we look at a pay stub. And we check a pay stub and we'll see a deduction coming out for insurance. Now, what's interesting is you as the employee gets it free, but a lot of people add additional to it. So that's one way to find out. But if you're gone and it's just you and you have this benefit through work, a lot of times it's missed, or we catch it later on when the company finally starts moving out. When I say company, you passed away. Now you're moving your 401k, you're going through all the benefits. But we find that a lot of times that money could have been really, really used at an earlier time, and we didn't get a chance to access that. The other thing that's very interesting about group insurance is that we find that carriers have changed a lot. So by the time that, think about this, right? Insurance, group insurance, it's usually a financial decision that your employer is making to save money. So they bounce around between different benefit companies. And I've seen it happen where it might be a year later, finally someone's indicating to somebody that there was a group policy out there on somebody. So can you see how this would be very important to put this stuff down? So there's 2 parts. Go gather your stuff. That's the painful part. That means go look in the closet, go to the storage unit, find whatever you can, get online and get all of those logons to all those things, bank accounts, insurance. A lot of financial institutions now don't send statements. They send an e-statement every month, and that's the only thing that you'd even know if there was an investment account someplace. So that's what we're going to do first. What I find is an extremely difficult time is taking that information that I have over here on a piece of paper and getting the pertinent information to the book. So unfortunately, this book is not the only thing that should be there. You should have some sort of, I like to use an accordion folder. Some people like to use a safe box, one of those fireproof boxes with vertical files in them. That is the supporting document. So this just says, hey, there's the life insurance with John Hancock. The insurance policy is in a folder named John Hancock. So now I've got the book explaining what the basis of the life insurance policy is. And then I have the documents behind that in the box. I think to go into a little more detail in this whole area, how this works. So credit cards. I've had more people thank me for this than anything else. And I'll tell you what it looks like. One of the rules I make is you go in and think about it. There's a part here to list your credit cards. Now, that's good, but I say, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take a digital picture with your phone of the front and the back of the card, and you're going to store it on a thumb drive, and you're going to put it in the firebox. Now, why do you think everybody thinks that's a great idea? Because they lose their wallet. They lose their wallet or it gets stolen, and then they go, oh my God, I had 7 credit cards in my wallet. I don't remember who they are, what they are. I think it's a Discover. I know I had an American Express. And they come and I go, they tell me and they go, we remembered we had it on a thumb drive. We took pictures with our iPhone. So interesting how these things pop up in your lifetime of other events that happen. So now that's one you're going to do right away, right? You're going to go to your wallet. You're going to shoot a picture of your driver's license, the front and back of your driver's license. Why? Because a lot of times in future need, we need that information filling out forms for specific types of things. Shoot your driver's license. You shoot your credit cards. Also, the other things I'd highly recommend that you either make sure you have in that box or accordion folder, whatever it is, you have to have certain documents which are kind of interesting, and I guarantee you're not going to be easy to find. It's called a marriage certificate. And so people can't find their marriage certificate. Sometimes that's needed, okay? So things like that, marriage certificates, birth certificates, those type of things, I have people call me, I don't have my birth certificate. I go, okay, well, then you got to get a copy of it. Why didn't you get a copy of it? Well, because it's much easier for you to request a copy of your birth certificate than somebody else. So just spend the money, go on the website, go to the state that you were born. Hopefully you can remember that or know that and get a copy of your birth certificate. So I think that I hope by now you're getting a handle of why this is so important. Now I'm going to switch gears. I'm pretty passionate about this thing because I've seen firsthand families, and I'm dealing with one right now that we actually had come to an estate planning council meeting where the dad has got dementia. The mom really was totally disconnected from the financial situation. And we're trying to kind of piece it together. And I'm looking at the angst that the kids are having. By the way, the kids don't live here. So the kids don't live here. The parents are here. Right? And they're going, I got nothing. I don't know what to do. I go down, I visit with them. I say, Mom, how you doing? Dad, blah, blah, blah. We're going to probably wind up having to put him in a facility quickly. But they are struggling. I'm struggling because it's like my analogy I've used for years is very simple. Imagine making a puzzle and you can't see what the box top looks like. So it's 1,000 pieces dumped on the table, and you've got to try to figure out the puzzle. I guarantee you it's easier to figure the puzzle out if you can look at the box and tell it's a windmill or a cat. Because now you say, oh, there's a sky, and all the blue ones go over here. And look, there's some green grass on the cat over here. Do you see that analogy? And do you see how that, in a time of stress and anxiety, is really a recipe for disaster? Whereas I've got a roadmap and I filled it out. And oh, by the way, I've updated it because we already talked about this. Passwords get outdated. Life insurance companies change names. I don't like this bank and I moved all my stuff to another bank because they were giving me 2 cents more interest a year. So this has got to be updated. Everybody focuses on the book as being the magic bullet, and it's not. The piece of the puzzle that I want to really focus on the most, because we'll get through believe me, together we can help you get through the financial part of this, right? Financial being all the numbers and all the accounts. Debbie said something, and I think it's really important. It's the non-financial legacy that I think differs this process from what I've seen mostly done in estate planning. Estate planning is always about the finance stuff. It's very rarely about the non-financial aspects of it. So I love to start with this one because it's my favorite, and it's right across from digital assets, and it's called pets. All right, so there's a page 29. I don't know how many people out there have pets, but when I say pets, people's eyes pop up and they usually go, I never thought of that. Who gets your pet? By the way, I have seen families fight over the dog. I've seen it. Multiple children. Mom wanted me to have a dog. No, mom wanted me to have a dog. Your dog, you got rid of your dog. I mean, why have that as an argument when you write in the book, I want this person to get the pet? Now, what's nice about it is there is no dispute. The other thing that I thought was amazing when you start, we have people, and Debbie will tell you, we have clients that take this to the next step and go, you know what? I want to put my pet in my estate planning documents because I want, number one, simple. I want what vet? Every pet owner has a vet that they love and one they hate. So they want you to know the pet's information is at this veterinarian. The next most important part, which becomes a basic conversation at this point, but then gets into the estate planning documents is I want to leave money for the support and care and medical needs of my pet. That usually is better handled in an estate planning document than it is in just here. So you can just leave a lump sum of money, and that's what it says here. If you read it, but I want you to see how this integrates with the estate planning process. Now, let's stop there for 1 second and let's talk about two people that are out there. And I can't get you to raise your hand, but I don't know how many people are here today with me who have done their estate planning. And I don't know how many people have not done their estate planning. Now, why the Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council? What we know, and I'd love to do the math if I could, because I'm a math guy, 70% of U.S. families, U.S. couples, however you want to do the categorization, do not have updated estate planning documents. So my math tells me that there's probably a lot that, now let's say correct estate planning documents. So I lived in Michigan and I moved to Florida. That's not updated, right? So let's use the 70% number, and let's say that a majority of you either have outdated documents. I would say definitely probably outdated from the standpoint of, in the state of Florida, if you're a Florida resident, 2011, there was a major change in estate planning in 2011. It started addressing things like the one that really had a lot of changes done that I think is important for people is a living will, right? Terry Schiavo, all the situations. There were a lot of changes made. Debbie will come and probably do some other seminars and other types of webinars about some of those done. We've done an overview a while ago. So if anybody subscribed that, you can go back to that overview that Debbie did. But what I want you to understand is either your documents need to be updated or they need to be done. So this is the planning part of the estate planning part. What I find most clients wake up one day, and it's usually from a standpoint of, oh, something happened, we really have to do something. And they go to Debbie or they go to a estate planning attorney and they go, hey, I need to make some documents. And that's about how much you thought. And then they start asking you a bunch of questions. And who do you want to be your executor? Hey, do you want to leave money outright to your children, or do you want to look at giving it to them over time? None of that stuff has been discussed. So the problem is there's very little planning in the estate planning. There's just documents. And believe it or not, that is not the way to do this. I find more people right now, they're not doing it, but more people spend a lot more time planning their vacation than they do planning their finances or especially their estate planning. So we're almost done. We got about 5 minutes left. I want to just tie everything together in a recap. You've got a book in front of you. It's an awesome book. It's going to take some time to get it done. You've got a list of to-dos, getting your documents together. Now, I don't know where you are in that process. I would love for you to start from the back forward. Why from the back? Because I would hope that you'd spend a little bit of time thinking about your family mission and thinking about my ethical will and what I would like my future generations to know about me, my family, whatever it is. So start at page 34. And we'll talk again next week, but start at page 34, where we have to start to understand this information gets lost a lot of time in generations, right? Family history, where your parents came from, where your great-grandparents came from, their maiden names. This is going to take a while, but you know what? This is going to give you the emotional connection to this, which will make you get it done, opposed to, I got a bunch of life insurance policies or I wrote them here. So promise me you'll do this. You're going to start from the back and you're going to start getting emotionally connected to the process. I have a few more minutes and I want to take that time and tell you a little bit more about what the Estate Planning Council is doing to help people. One of the things that we find, and this is what we call an asset map. I'm going to show you that, try to show you that pretty good there. Okay, so if you can see what the asset map does, we have a blue person and an orange person. I think, no, we don't have genders on there, do we? Whatever. We have an orange and blue. I guess that's Gator. We can have a different version. But what it does, it helps map out assets. And it's really important to do that. So now I have a list of things. Congratulations. And it's either husband and wife or just individually, or it could be a business owner that has a bunch of things tied to them. But trying to physically break out all these things into some sort of map, which is an extremely important part of what I do for a living, which is financial planning, but also asset planning. And what I mean by asset planning is something that we will definitely cover. There was some legislation at right around Christmas time in the 23rd of December, which changed how things move on to the next generation, specifically IRAs and 401ks and qualified money, what we call retirement money. It's really changed from the standpoint that you used to be able to push money out to your kids, right, your siblings, or either your siblings or your children, and you could do that over their lifetime. So if you had kids that were in their 20s and 30s, you passed away, you gave it to them. They really had a really awesome setup, preset retirement account. We all know that a lot of the youngsters don't have retirement accounts. So that was awesome, right? And we called it a stretch, or we called it somehow an ability to move those assets on. Most people, a large amount of their assets are in 401ks or IRAs. The government said, no, that's not going to happen anymore. Starting in 2020, the maximum your children can move that money or distribute that money is 10 years. So can you see how using an asset map that we used just in December, the asset map looks a lot different as far as what we plan on utilizing in our lifetime. Everybody says, listen, I'm not worried about the kids because I'm worried about running out of money myself, but also the ability to understand how everything works together is the asset map. That is one of the things that the Estate Planning Council is offering to anybody free of charge. It is something that I think is important because it helps people get ready to do the estate planning. Again, estate planning. I wish it was planning estate, but it's not. I think we're about out of time. Hopefully this has been beneficial. Please subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, if you need anything, if you just go, oh my gosh, I didn't get my book, something happened, or I just heard about this, make sure to email us. And you can email on the back. It's either carlos@bertfaulknerlaw.com, or you can do the info@gulfcoastepc.com. Thank you so much. Have a great Easter, and we'll see you next week.